Excellent customer service is very important.
Customers want to feel that you respect them, that you are there for them.
Just making sure the customer is satisfied.
I like the fact that I can communicate personally, not just over the phone.
At the end of the day, they know that they have that one person they can actually call on.
You want to treat that person how you would want to be treated.
We work 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. I try to make every experience a wow experience for the customer.
Hurricane Joaquin set to hit the central Bahamas tonight. The House Speaker blasts MPs for an unflattering cell phone photo. The current F&M chairman responds to the former F&M chairman. Plus, hundreds of students catch a showing of Shakespeare in Paradise. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Helping news tonight, Hurricane Joaquin is set to hit the Bahamas tonight, and a hurricane warning is in effect for the central Bahamas, while the northwestern islands are under a hurricane watch. Director at the National Emergency Management Agency, Captain Stephen Russell, said they have reached out to all islands of the Bahamas to ensure that they are prepared for the storm.
Again, based on the watches and warnings that were posted for the central and northern Bahamas, NEMA has activated its Emergency Operations Center as of this morning at 9 a.m. And we will remain activated until this system is clear of the Bahamas. If it goes into Thursday, Friday, teams will be here to track and monitor the system until it's all clear, as mentioned. We have been in contact with all of the islands in the all island administrators in the warning and watch area at this time. And as was mentioned, they would have met with their local disaster consultative committees to ensure that plans have been finalized for this approaching hurricane.
Russell also urged those on islands who have already been affected by flooding and surges to evacuate immediately.
Some islands are already reporting some sort of surge and flooding in low-lying areas. So in Salvador, we got a report that a section of the road is already washed away as a result of surge from this hurricane as it approaches. Rumkey, the ponds are swelling. Again, that's to do with the spring tide, the full moon. That's all a part of it, which is impacting flooding in some areas at this time. We have advised all administrators in the islands of Salvador, Rumkey, Cat Island, Long Island, Exuma, Atkins, Crooked Island to open their shelters as of 6 p.m. this afternoon.
According to Deputy Director of the Department of Meteorology, Basil Dean, heavy rainfall and strong winds are expected, especially on San Salvador and Cat Island, and he's advising residents there to prepare.
We do anticipate some weather as a result of Joaquin being so close in terms of heavy rainfall, strong gusty winds, but the islands that would perhaps experience the most out of this system would be the island of San Salvador. So it can come within about 50, 60 miles of the island of San Salvador.
Hurricane Joaquin is a Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour, moving southwest at 6 miles per hour. The central Bahamas is currently under a hurricane warning. That includes Cat Island, Exuma, Long Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador. Islands under hurricane watch include the Abacos, Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama, and New Providence. Dean said San Salvador will begin to experience bad weather late tonight, going into the early hours of tomorrow morning. And as the hours go by, the weather will continue to deteriorate.
Rainfall will be the major factor as the system treks southwest and then eventually west and northwest. So we're asking residents in the southeast and central Bahamas to prepare themselves for heavy rainfall, which can lead to flooding in those low-lying areas.
As a result of the storm, all vacation leave for Defense Force Marines has been canceled. In a statement issued by Acting Commander of the Force, Captain Tellis Bethel, he announces all officers and Marines are to report to their respective places of duty effective immediately. The Met Department is also advising small craft operators to remain in port as large swells and battering waves affect the island during the next few days. Dean said the storm should be making its way out of the Bahamas by late Friday night. In other news, weeks after a picture of two opposition members of parliament sleeping in the House of Assembly was widely circulated on social media sites, House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major said his investigation revealed that the photograph was taken by a government minister. He called it an egregious violation of trust and accused the PLP MPs of desecrating the rules of Parliament. Vani Toot reports.
House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major says he condemns the actions of the government MP who took an unflattering photo of opposition MPs Loretta Butler Turner and Peter Turnquest sleeping in Parliament. He called it a breach of sacred trust and a blatant violation of House rules. He questioned whether that MP would take responsibility.
We have a situation where, from all indications, cabinet ministers are associated with the execution of a profound breach of sacred trust, and by extension, our code of conduct. Taking the photographs was a blatant violation of the rules of this House. Those actions were exacerbated when those images were placed in the public domain. The fact that a public citizen was drawn into this worsens the affair. I need not tell you, honorable members, that actions like these undermine public confidence in all of us as legislators. These actions also desecrate the sanctity of the Parliament.
The cell phone photos in question show Butler Turner and Turnquest sleeping during the September 16th session of the House of Assembly. Those pictures were then forwarded on WhatsApp and Facebook in what Major described as a deliberate attempt to embarrass the two opposition MPs.
Was this intended to be a joke or to embarrass? As chair, I condemn these actions. Honorable members, the entire House should condemn them.
The matter arose when Montague MP Richard Lightbourne accused government members of surreptitiously taking several cell phone photos in the House of Assembly on September 16th. At the time, the House Speaker took grave exception to Lightbourne's accusation and demanded that he take his seat. However, after conducting an investigation into the matter, Major was forced to admit that Lightbourne was right.
My investigation was conclusive and strongly suggested that a government member or members took the unflattering photos of two opposition members, then blasted them to the electronic world for public consumption.
Major said his investigation also revealed that a member of the public who was in the visitors' gallery on that day was in on the whole thing.
The results of our investigations were telling. It turns out that a young man was in fact present in the visitors' gallery at some point during the sitting. His Facebook page included these pictures with captions added. I summoned him to my office and learned that he, in fact, did receive 5 to 7 photos showing what appeared to be two opposition members sleeping. He admitted he received them, downloaded them, uploaded them for maximum exposure, then placed a caption on them before blasting them into cyberspace.
Major says the visitor admitted that he aided and abetted in this unauthorized act and has since apologized for his actions. The House Speaker noted that several years ago, the press printed images of Centerville MP Perry Christie, which inferred he was sleeping. Christie took issue with the photo. In this instance, Major said the action of that government MP undermines public confidence and may call for the House to look at tightening its rules and deepening punishment. He questioned whether that person would step up and own it.
The question is, will the member or members who initiated this action also acknowledge and take responsibility for this egregious violation of trust?
Opposition MPs have also encouraged the guilty party to come clean, asserting parliamentarians should lead by example. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vani Toot.
The House Speaker's comments came before parliamentarians debated a bill for an act to amend the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, which, among other things, seeks to reduce the amount of time an offender can receive a clean police record from 7 years to 5 years, and in some cases from 14 years to 10 years. The aim is to allow offenders to seek gainful employment and reduce the risk of them returning to a life of crime. Well, police in Grand Bahama are investigating that island's latest murder after the lifeless body of a Caucasian woman was discovered in an apartment on Gambier Drive this morning. According to reports, shortly after 6 a.m., officers were called to the apartment where they discovered the woman with a wound to the upper body. She was pronounced dead at the scene. A short time later, police say a Caucasian man who was known to the victim was taken into custody and is assisting police with their investigation. Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour told our news team the incident could have been a domestic dispute, and the man and the woman, both foreign nationals, lived at the apartment. And here in Nassau, police have a man in custody in connection with an overnight murder on Dunmore Street. According to reports, shortly after 11 p.m. last night, the victim was sitting in front of a home when he got into an argument with two other men that led to him being shot. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say a 56-year-old man is assisting police with investigations. The country's murder count for the year is now 114. Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe has called for a police investigation following claims by DNA leader Branville McCartney that Wilchcombe ignored emails that a cruise line official sent to him expressing concern about crime in the Bahamas. In 3 separate emails to Wilchcombe, Vice President of Carnival Cruise Line's port operations, Carlos Torres de Navarra, said the cruise line found the British and Canadian government's crime warnings regarding increased attacks on tourists in the Bahamas to be disturbing. Carnival said it was considering issuing separate crime warnings to its guests. Wilchcombe claimed he never received the email and his name was misspelled in those messages. McCartney addressed the emails during a news conference yesterday and blasted the Christie administration for failing to address the country's crime problem. Well, Wilchcombe said he has reported the matter to police and asserted McCartney should be ashamed of himself, calling it criminality.
And we never got the emails. Never saw the emails, Mr. Speaker, because they were never sent to us. They were sent to somebody else. And, Mr. Speaker, but what bothers me about this is that this is a leader of a party. A responsible man, I thought. A man who says he wants to lead this country. Receiving emails, obviously, questionably had by someone, given to him, and then he goes to the media and disseminates. Irresponsibly, Mr. Speaker, talking about his country.
Wilchcombe questioned how the DNA leader got the emails and said if McCartney is worth his name, he would apologize to him and the country. The tourism minister also blasted the media, insisting reporters should have asked McCartney how he obtained emails sent to a government minister. While addressing cruise lines' crime concerns, Wilchcombe admitted that the Progressive Liberal Party politicized crime when the Free National Movement was in power, something he called a teachable moment. He said everyone must come together to address the matter and even suggested a crime march.
How could we talk about we concern about crime, and yet we are involved in the preparation of crime? How, Mr. Speaker? How is that possible? Mr. Speaker, this is now a matter for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, which I have reported, and I have met with the police force. I have given them all the details, because the two things I want to find out is, firstly, how you get an email sent to me. And I can tell you that the leader of the DNA today should be ashamed. Should be ashamed. He should be ashamed of what he did, Mr. Speaker, and he should be ashamed that he's drawn the media into it. He's been using the media, Mr. Speaker, and the media should not allow itself to be used. When are we going to get together and join forces and march against crime? And I know what you're going to say, and I know what some would say, well, the PLP did it to the F&M. That's true. But we've learned from that. No, that's true. Well, you have to learn from that. A part of progress and growth is that you learn teachable moments.